Iya. Oke. Mungkin sambil terus menunggu kita bisa.
Ya, Bupin, silakan Bupin.
Okay, can we start now?
Ya.
Baik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Is it clear?
Clear voice.
Clear. Okay, thank you, Pak Pak Moko. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the talk show series 2 with Dr. Gloria Monash, conducted by APWI, Ministry of Education, Research, Culture and Technology. Alhamdulillah, praise to Allah the Almighty that we can gather on this beautiful Saturday morning, and in Melbourne it's going to is it summer, right? Yeah, summer. Today we are delighted to have Dr. Gloria Monash, Senior Lecturer, School of Educational Psychology and Counseling from Monash University, Melbourne, Australia. Right before we go into the talk, I would like to read the rundown of the program of the talk show series 2. Right after this, we'll be having welcome remarks delivered by Dr. Widya Moko, the chair of DPK APWI, Kemdikbudristek. And then after this, we're going to have talk show with Dr. Gloria Monash, and then hosted by Ibu Indriati. To start today with the talk, I would like to read a bit background from Dr. Gloria Monash, Senior Lecturer, School of Educational Psychology and Counseling, Monash University. And then this will be adults' roles in play-based learning, which is the theme that provide effective pedagogical perspective and practices for young learners' play and care. Ibu dan Bapak, ladies and gentlemen, you can see that that's from some of you from early childhood education, and also from teacher Ibu dan Bapak Widya Iswara, or teacher educator from language department, also from teacher training institution Banten province. Welcome to the talk show. To begin with, let's have Dr. Gloria Monash to begin, and then it will be hosted by Miss Indriati. To Miss Indriati, today we're going to have a welcome remarks from Dr. Widya Moko, the chair of DPK APWI Kemdikbudristek. To Bapak Dr. Widya Moko, the time is yours.
Thank you, Ninin. Good afternoon, Gloria, in Melbourne. Melbourne is, of course, 4 hours ahead of Jakarta. Good morning, everyone. I'm very pleased to be the first to welcome Dr. Gloria, the senior lecturer from School of Educational Psychology and Counseling, Monash University, Melbourne, Australia, the guest of the talk show, Adults' Roles in Play-Based Learning. Today, Saturday, the 5th of November, 2022. Of course, today is a weekend. Everyone is finally here. Wishing you the best weekend, everyone. All of you, the attendees, are almost most welcome. This talk show is a must-watch event for those coming from schools, universities, education offices, such as Widya Iswara, educators, lecturers, education practitioners, policymakers, parents, university students, and other stakeholders with the interest in the roles of play word creation in education. Since I hope will provide effective pedagogical perspective and practices for young learners, play and care. This talk show will also appeal for valuable tips about effective positioning in young learners to teachers and schools principals wishing to obtain insights as well as fashionable issues in Playwood creativity. Dr. Gloria, ladies and gentlemen, this talk show is designed in a way to fascinate your interest. So I trust that we would be very successful. But in looking at the participation, I'm of course very pleased to let me share with you that we have put a lot of participation in determining a very precise event that would hopefully get us closer to your needs in general. Let me tell you the facts that APWI, Asosiasi Profesi Widya Iswara Indonesia, Kementerian Pendidikan, Kebudayaan, Riset dan Teknologi, the Indonesian Associations of Trainers, Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology is very concerned with the issue in young learners' education. Because we are indeed an organization for bureaucracy trainers managed by and responsible for the ministry as well as for the state administration agency or lembaga administrasi negara. And I, as the chair of organization, want to share the English-speaking talk show can be followed by all of the elements in communities so that these are put at work beyond the partners, regions, and countries. I would keep it short to say again how much you are welcome, how much desire we have put in this event, and how much we wish you would enjoy this talk show with us to open formally this event. We have, of course, our host that I would like to really thank very warmly because you have really supported us. And I think you have impressed us and everyone with your eagerness and willingness because you know the host is very important to create the dynamic atmosphere. And it is not just about the technical formats in preparing for this talk show. So in this context, I have the honor and pleasure to invite Indriati. I have handled this event. Please, thank you very much, Indri. Dr. Gloria, you may have noticed that big applause for you indicates a hint that you are very special guest. Thank you very much, Gloria, for being as honored guest invited to and attending this event in my organization. Of course, welcome to you, and I hope this is a sign of appreciation of intellectual standing from the senior and influential lecturer from Monash University, Melbourne, on this organization. Once again, thank you very much, Gloria, and to all of you, and welcome to the talk show series talking about adults' roles in play-based learning, held by Dewan Pimpinan Komisariat Asosiasi Profesi Widya Iswara Indonesia, Kementerian Pendidikan, Kebudayaan, Riset dan Teknologi, the Indonesia Association of Trainers, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology. I wish you all a pleasant day. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your kind words, Dr. Moko and Pininto, and thank you so much, Indriati and Ririn, for the invitation. It's an honor to be here with you and share some words of wisdom. So I hope you enjoy the presentation. And at any time, if you have any comments or questions, just place it in the chat and we can have a look. So I want this to be also interactive as much as I can. So I'm going to share my presentation now. Okay, so can you all see it? Yes, great. I cannot see you all when I'm talking, but I can see the comments and I can stop the sharing of the screen if anyone would like to make a comment. So today I'm going to talk about these the adult roles in play-based learning. And there are a lot of emerging also pedagogies in relation to this, but I wanted to talk a bit about my research as well in this in this presentation. So thank you again for the invitation. And it's in Australia, we always acknowledge countries. So I was thinking of, let me just stop my screen. So we always acknowledge country, and this is a practice that we all follow. So let me again share my screen. I could see that there were some words there. Okay, so here it is. Okay. So I would like to acknowledge the lands on which I speak on today and recognize that sovereignty was never ceded. And I would like to specifically acknowledge that the Wurundjeri and Bungarong people communities of the Kulin Nations, where I'm meeting you today virtually, are the ongoing custodians of the lands on which Monash University now stands. And they're also part of the Kulin Nations of my home, where I am. We pay our respects through our research, teaching, and learning to the Wurundjeri and the Bungarong elders, their past, present, and future communities. So I welcome you, and also wherever you are, welcoming your the land that you are and the elders that are part of your of where you are in your country, wherever you are. Now, these are some books that you can also, if you're interested in learning a bit more, these are books that that are research evidence-based and that I have worked with my colleagues, Avis Ridgway and Liang Li. And I'll present some of these ideas from these books. So this is Early Childhood Pedagogical Play and a new book, Affective Early Childhood Pedagogy for Infants and Toddlers. And even so that there are, if this is about this book, Infants and Toddlers, there are a lot of ideas that are also relevant for older children as well. I can see the chat. Okay. Okay, I'll continue. So, what do you think is play? So before even going to the adults' roles, I would like you to think, what do you think play is? And I'm going to give you some, like 1 or 2 minutes. So maybe anyone, if you can add here in the chat, what do you think is play?
Okay. Everyone, you can put what do you think is play? Bermain. Gloria, is it okay if just sometime I use a bilingual language?
Yes,
Just to make sure. I mean,
yes, whatever comes
the
into your
audience,
mind.
okay, yeah.
So I can see having fun, plays imagination.
Okay, yeah, plays imagination.
Yes, definitely.
And then having fun.
Someone wants to talk. Play is happy. Yes, it brings a lot of emotions. Play is happy. Yes, play brings us happiness. Socializing in a fun way. Yes. Play is moving, definitely. Moving, exploration. Yeah, play is all this. Whatever you like. Yes, so freedom. Play is about having freedom to choose. Definitely. Play is children's world. Yes, so play is that that leading activity. So that's what children do. Yes, play is peace. That is interesting. Hobby. Well, for adults, maybe play is a hobby. Play is moving. It is important for important business. Yes. Some people say it's children's work or business. Oh, competition. That's interesting. Rinia, play is competition. Okay, why is play competition? Play is collaborative, definitely. Yes, play is collaborative. Play is creativity. Yes, imagination and creativity come together, definitely. Great. So I think you have some ideas and really good ideas of what play is. I'm going to, okay. Play is full of emotion. Yes, play is emotion, definitely. So yes, I think you have said a lot: collaboration, cooperation, play is creative. Play has rules as well, and roles. And these are kind of some of the words that you will see: dramatic play, constructive play, you know, people trying to label what play is. Play is spontaneous, play is freedom. So yes, play is all this. And we start with that. We start the presentation with this. Play is fun. Yeah, definitely. Play, defining what play is, and culture is really important. So children bring cultural everyday experiences to play. And the first statement here that I want to start is, young children are clever, all of them. They're very intelligent, they're clever. Yesterday, I was doing some research with some infants in a childcare center here in Australia, and I saw one of my students doing professional experience, and I was focusing on this baby that is 9 months, and she said, "Oh yes, this child is very clever. Like, I can see why you're focusing." And I said to her, "Well, they all are. Not only him, but they all are if we are able to see their strengths." And that's part of our curriculum here in Australia. We start with this statement that all children are clever and have strengths. Children are their own group. They have their own diverse group. They have different ways of expressing their views. So it is very different how we see play as well, how children see play. Play is a source for the development of children's abstract and symbolic thinking. So what does that mean? So children in play, they are able to develop abstract thinking. They are able to think about creating mental representations. They imagine things, they're creating mental representations of what it might be, what does it mean to be a firefighter or a police officer. So they have to create these images. Now, a child's cultural context is important in play, because context, being a police officer in Indonesia might be very different to being a police officer in Australia. So again, or being a mom or being a dad, it will be very different in different societies. So that's why cultural context is important. Being in a city context or a rural context, these all brings different cultural or everyday experiences. Different environments, what we believe, cultural beliefs, and they have some affect and effect. So when I talk about affect, it's about the emotions. They have different ways of children think and feel differently. They are learning and developing in play. So so just summing up this, so if you can see, I put some images there, and this is some, I guess, representative images of how playgrounds in Australia might look like. So you will see the sandpit is something that you see in any early childhood center in Australia, the sandpit, and going to the beach is something that Australians do, and maybe in Indonesia as well. But you think about those images. How do you see play in the center that you work, in the school, even if you're a parent? How does those play spaces look like? What kind of spaces do children create? What do they play with? What objects they use? And also these balancing kind of I guess piece of wood, I don't know how, like exercise, they exercise and movement and risky play is also part of these environments, learning environments for children. So we can begin to extend now that our definition of play is more than play is fun. Play is, again, abstract and symbolic thinking. Children have developed their language. They are creative. They're creating mental representations. It's so abstract because imagination is something really abstract. If you think about yourself as an adult, imagination, you really have to think carefully about how to build a picture of something, of how does Australia look like? How, if I had a renovation in my house, how does that look like? So imagination and creative thinking is really important. Yes, in Indonesia, playground is in the shopping malls. Yes, because yes, I know in Mexico, where I am from, children, it's really hot. It's very warm and hot. So you don't see a lot of children playing the playgrounds, or it's really cold. So they go to the shopping centers and they play in the malls. So yes, that's an important environment for us to examine as well. Now we start with the idea of free play. A lot of you had this. Yes, they decorate the playground with themes and yes, like a palace. Yes, definitely. So these are some photos. These are personal photos of my daughter Silvana when she was a chubby baby, and a beautiful baby. Now she's 10. But this was really interesting because we were in another context. We were in a kind of a play date with a baby. And yes, the outdoor play space, rarely. Yes, you don't have a sandpit. Yes, it is. Oh no, you rarely have a sandpit. Yes. So again, play starts with babies. They are curious. There is, there was a bit of exploration with this baby that they cannot physically move, but they're exploring with their hands, and there are objects and there are things that might be interesting. And this free play is play without adult intervention. There is not much constraints in their meaning. Sometimes children need that freedom to make sense, to imagine and carry out new ways of acting in their context. So it's almost like free play gives us opportunities to learn about what are children interested in, and learning more about what their perspective means in these activities. So what are they interested in each other and or the objects, and exploring. So free play is important, but also the adult, and I'll talk a bit more about the adult's role. So free play, definitely, it is important for children as well. Now, thinking about, and I'm using here Fleer's book, 2021, Play in the Early Years. And she talks about play. I don't think this is Fleer. I'm thinking, no, this is from our book. This is not Fleer. This is Ridgway in our book. We talk about how play experiences are really important. And for us to begin with this idea of free play, we have to think about how, what are children's interests? What do they bring from their everyday home? What are the roles that they play? What are the resources that they bring to school? How children bring toys and things. So we have to also, from thinking from the perspective of children, before we think about our perspective as adults, it's really important to think about how they are able to exercise their agency. And when I say agency, is the ability to make choices and decisions. So agency is the freedom that they can make a choice, they can make decisions and that the adult is supporting that. So think about how many times we tend to say no to children. I have done that myself, but then I have to think about, okay, no, this is important for children. So it's about respect as well, and that they also have control in their play. So acknowledging the child's perspective is really important. And I'll give you some examples for you to think a bit more about this. So how do we acknowledge the child's perspective? How do we acknowledge the diversity of children and their views? So this is definitely clear. By gathering the children's perspective, we can gather data on the meanings children make through their play and how their views are expressed about play. So this is something that maybe that's another presentation about observation and assessing play. But it is important that even when children are playing freely, they are also able to, for you to be able to be observing them. Even if you're not playing with them, you are observing what is happening. So that's why this is data. This is our observations is data. So then we can know how they express their play. I'm going to show you this little video and then I'll stop so we can have a bit of a discussion. And I want you to see, what do you see here in terms of what play is with what I have discussed just now? There is the parents here, and this is in a home setting, and the parents are not doing much, but they're observing. They're observing what's happening here. And they're trying also to make sense what is happening here because it looks quite interesting as well. There are a lot of things going on here. So I'm going to show you this little video and then we'll have a bit of a discussion.
So Gloria, are you going to play the video right now? So I can ask
Yes.
Amy to stop the pause the recording for a moment.
What? Okay, so we just saw
Hello.
of a toddler. How old do you think the toddler will be? Maybe 16, 18 months, looking at a mirror and then looking at herself and then banging and doing a bit of no sound and then looking back and then start dancing and clapping and then suddenly has a little dummy and looking at it and realizing that there was a dog, but the mirror was they were going to the mirror in and out. So is this play? What is happening here? Why is what is the role of these the adult? Because one is recording and the other one is sitting down. Any comments from that video? What were your thoughts? Like, what was interesting, or what were you curious from this example?
Yeah. Okay. You audience, you can type in the chat. Yeah. You can type in the chat box.
I left you without words.
So
okay, no comments.
Yeah,
that's fine. No comments. Oh, I'll put these so you can remember what we were talking. So
yeah.
Okay, Gloria. Okay.
How are they expressing their views through play?
Gloria, excuse me, Gloria.
Yes.
Okay, that's a good video, of course. But okay, now consider in Indonesia, yeah, mostly or your family are living in a big family. But more than not only 2 children in the family, but 5 children or even 10 children in the family. What do you think of in terms of the play as what you explained so far? Thank you.
Yeah, so it becomes a bit difficult, isn't it? Not difficult, but a challenge. This is just one child, isn't it?
Sorry.
When with more children, it becomes more complex, right? Because there's more participants into the play. So the mirror kind of acted as the peer as well, right? Because it was like a sudden realization of what is happening. But there was a lot of free time to explore, right? So in the video, there was exploration. there was a lot of intention. The child had an intention, even with babies or younger children, that they're not able to say much. There's a lot of, we can pay attention to the actions, the movements. What are they thinking? The mirror. Yes, okay, we can see.
Yes. Mm.
The
Mm.
mother, I think he or she tried to explore the things around him. Yes, the movement. So play is about exploration, definitely. So just a little example. We'll have another one with a teacher so you can have a look. But this example was for you to think a bit more about how children express in play as young as this child. The mirror is really important to explore what they are playing. It really doesn't matter what the content is. We don't need to know that because we can, of course, will be wonderful to read minds, but we cannot do that, can we? So being curious, definitely seeing herself. Some babies are curious with the mirror play, also exploring displays, trying to feed her body in the shelves. Yes, definitely. Yes. So when we think about the adult's role, yes, the mirror becomes a tool for them to interact themselves, definitely. So when we think about the adult role in this play, they are observing, right? Making the sound, looking at the shadow. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I love it because the mirror acts like another participant, isn't it? Anyone wanted to talk? No.
Yeah. Baririn. Okay. Maybe. Yeah. If anyone want to comment, you're welcome.
Okay. So our adults role in play, adults can be participants. They also are stage managers, so they provide resources to children. Oh, someone is raising their
Yeah.
hand.
One, silakan. Pak Yusuf.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Pak Yusuf.
Okay. I think here adults should be monitor the children because of course we let the children to play, but of course if it's danger, right? Without adults watch. So here I think adults have a big or great role when children is playing.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
so adult also can involve in the play, but better just to take like a space,
Mm.
to let the children do the curiosity and improve the cognitive themselves. Yeah, I
Yes.
think so.
Yeah, so then definitely there is a balance, isn't it, with our
Yeah,
adults' role. When do I
yeah,
intervene? When do I step back? So I wanted to show you this example because it brings some discussion because, oh, well, they're letting the child do whatever is happening, this exploration. And then there are other moments where parents do play with children. But in this example, definitely curiosity is really important. The adult is still present and the father, you can see, is sitting down. So sometimes is more effective, and if you read my Affective Pedagogies book, sitting down is an effective strategy. I say that to all my students. If you sit down, children will come to you like magnets. It's more efficient than an adult and I have seen this in my research, than an adult, roaming around. You see all the children following the teacher. So sometimes, again, so sitting down is really effective because the child is supported. It's already supported just by the presence there of the adult who is observing. Might not be intruding, but is supporting the child. Yes, the reflection could be, and again, we can see all these, right? Maybe, what if? Definitely, that is really important of this example. So we're going now moving on to the adult's role in play. So the adult the adult is a participant in that example. The adult stage manager, sometimes we give resources to children, and there are not a lot of resources here, just the mirror is enough, and the shelves kind of trying to fit in the shelves. Script writer, the adult also comments and narrates what is happening. So script writer is contributing to the dialogue, to the conversation. Play assistant, assisting children, like not taking a role, but assisting. The adult can also be a co-player, playing with children, playing with the child. Co-player or play partner is quite similar. Supports, extends, acknowledge the child, and imagines together. And this is the hardest, right? The most challenging one is, how do we imagine together with children? So I'm just going to give you some new words and language and tools that you can think about. So when we talk about a cultural historical understanding of play that we use in our books, and Fleer also talks about, I think someone was saying, what about if they have siblings? Well, definitely. There's individual and collective imagining. The more participants that we have in our play, the more complex it becomes, right? Because children have to negotiate, they have to cooperate, they have to collaborate, and so on. So I'm going to talk a bit about this. So a cultural historical understanding means that, again, culture is really important. And the historical, what does this historical means is, it's what you probably have heard this before from Vygotsky, that he says that it's what the child can do tomorrow. So and we do this a lot as parents, as teachers. What can I do to support, to extend for what the child cannot do now, but can do tomorrow? So this is called the zone of proximal development, but in a way, putting it in really simple ways is, again, what can the child do today, but how I can support the child tomorrow in the future. So that's a cultural understanding of play. And I'm going to talk briefly about these concepts, and we're going to see another little example as well. Children change meaning using objects and actions. So you can see here, the child as young as we saw the child, they can change the meaning of actions and objects. You can see that in the mirror all the time. There's a lot of abstract thinking there. There's a lot of thinking about what is going on. Who is this? Is it me? Moving the same as me? So a lot of changing of the actions to see what's happening with the mirror. Children do that all the time. Think of the when they use a pen to think about what calling someone. So the pen becomes a mobile phone or a phone. So children change meaning. I'll come to the person that raised the hand once I finish. Thank you. There are imaginary situations. So children are always imagining situations like, oh, let's play being, let's play the restaurant. Let's play this. You're the chef and I'm the client. So they're creating an imaginary situation, because then they have roles, and then they have to act out the rules of what does it mean to be a chef? What does it mean to be a chef, and how do chefs dress? So there are some rules to becoming a chef, and there is a rule to become a waitress or a client. So then again, this is very complex work for children, because they have to really think about what does it mean to be in a restaurant. What are the rules? What are the roles? So maybe children are in a restaurant, and when you go to a restaurant, there might be some children that they don't want to sit. But, you know, those adult rules, they're not fitting with children. But then suddenly when they are playing, they are acting out the rules in an imaginary way. So it's this pretend world that they have to make sense of these rules in their imaginary world to bring maybe those rules into the real world. So again, they move in and out of imaginary situations from real to the pretend world and back, come back and out, in and out, in and out. So that's why we say that children move in and out of imaginary situations, because sometimes they say, oh, I'm going to be the chef and I'm in the restaurant, and then, okay, wait, let's go and get some materials because I actually don't have a lot of resources here to make any food. So they go out of there, or maybe they're still in the chef role that they have to find tools. So they ask for help. Oh, can I please have this and that because we want to play being in a restaurant. So they're in the real world asking you for resources. And then they come back to the role of chefs in the imaginary situation. So you can see how they go in and out this real and pretend world. Collective and individual imagination. And I'll talk about that, but I'll stop for someone that had a question.
Yeah. Pak Suarles?
Oh yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but just back to the previous video about a child looking at the mirror. I was thinking like in Indonesia, some region has I don't know, it's a taboo that when a child doesn't speak, they don't allow to see the mirror. What do you think from the psychology or for psychology side?
Oh, maybe
about
I'm choosing an inappropriate example.
I don't know, because some parents do not allow their children to see the mirror until the children can speak.
Well,
I don't know.
We have to respect, right, what parents want and not. It is quite interesting. You probably have heard about Reggio Emilia philosophy, and I teach these to my students, and they in these settings, and even right now doing research with babies, I'm doing a research at the moment. They have mirrors. They actually have like a long mirror where because mirrors is again, it's a material, it's a resource for children to see who they are, bring that curiosity and you know, see that reflection, who they are becoming. So it's something that we value having mirrors as well. But it just depends, again, cultural context is really important. But I didn't know that, but thanks for the comment. Always, yes. Yes, definitely. Oh, yes. Some parents don't want their children to get dirty while they play. Yes. Again, how do we advocate for this for children? We have to be advocates for children. And we also have to respect as well what parents want, but we can convince them and persuade them maybe a bit, saying that, well, you know, play is messy and they're really exploring, as this is really important for their learning and development. Dr. Gloria Quinones from Monash University said, yes, it's fine that they get dirty. No, I'm joking. But, you know, it's trying to advocate and convince them that it's okay to get dirty. What about us being adults? I get smelly and it's okay. I don't know.
Yeah. Gloria.
And it's fine. We get dirty as adults in different ways, right? So it's again advocating for play. Yes.
Yeah, Gloria, I just remember because it's kind of you know, one of the actress, I think, in Indonesia, and she start like because she just have baby 6 months years old, and then she
What's the name of the celebrity? So I know, and then
yeah. So Nikita Willy. So she let's say she give during the meal, say she use meal time as the time for her baby to start exploring like the shape of the food, and then rather than she feeding the baby, so she lets her baby explore the type of the texture of the food.
Yes.
So yeah, rather than feeding. So if you see her Twitter, or let's say her social media, people, maybe it's not common, maybe here, but for me it's also I think it's a good time as well for the baby to explore about his
Texture.
surrounding. Yes.
Look, definitely. And I think with babies, it's very, they want to touch. I was yesterday, as I said, doing a research with infants, and they just spend, like, I can tell you, sitting down in the sandpit, and because it was wet, the sand has like a different texture, and they were just doing this and this because they're learning what's going on here. Like, we don't know what they're thinking, right? But this looks really, the same with taste, right? Like, what does this mean? So yeah, let children explore. Play is exploration with food. But again, there's a bit of kind of a, we have to be respectful, definitely. And you want to convince parents. And I'm from Mexico and I live here in Australia. I had a lot of cultural, let's say, shock. Like for me, having my baby with socks was really important because it kept their feet warm. But then I come and pick up my child without socks and, getting their feet wet. I'm like, no, they're going to get sick. What are you doing? Again, they're different. Australia here, they just leave children without their socks and they want to explore. And then I kind of understood that, yes, well, it is important. So it's me that I have to be aware of my culture and what is the culture here. But yes, thank you for that comment. And I'll definitely Google Nikita Willy. But I'm sure it sounds like Nikita Willy is teaching parents good things.
Yeah, because at the same time, another actress, she tends to feed the baby, and at the same time, I think the different actress choose to let her baby play with the different kind of food, and then explore the food. The
perspective, but see, that's the child's perspective.
Yes.
The baby's not going to do what you want them to do.
Yes.
I have seen babies that they chew, they take all the juices and then they spit it. And if you're a parent, like, no, why do you do that? No, put it back. No, that's their way of, they actually are getting all the juices and they spit it. They don't like the texture. That's okay.
Yeah. And also, do you know there is one of the ceremony, like cultural ceremony in Indonesia, in a Japanese ceremony, Mbak Ririn, do you remember Tedak Siten? We call it Tedak Siten. At the same time, it's usually organized when the baby came into 7 months.
Kind of celebrating the first step when they start to climbing and start to walk. So keep going, Mbak Indri. So it's like very traditional.
One. Because at the same time, during the ceremony, the parents will give many kind of toys, or let's say toys that imitate the, what's that, Maririn?
Yeah. So basically, they put the child in it's like a chicken cage. It seems funny, but they put there with lots of stuff, like kind of stimulation, and they will observe which which object that the child will choose. It can be something related to art or
I have seen that tradition.
And some of them are related to academic stuff, like book, pencil, ballpoint kind of thing. And we kind of symbolize like, oh, this kid's gonna be more like interested or aligned into.
And that's the thing, that's because we have that hope as adults, but
Yes.
really, the child will do whatever they want.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
supported, like, right?
Looking at from play perspective, it's just momental, like just the event at the moment, but from I don't know, is it more cultural and societal expectation, I guess, like thinking, oh, he's gonna be smart boy because he's choosing book over candy.
Well, again, they're all smart, remember, all children are smart and clever, but that's the thing, we want to see their destinies, and it really is impossible. I think my parents are really surprised of what I have become. It's again.
I know,
It's like that. But yes, okay. I'll lovely discussions. I'll bring you back to play. But yeah, really nice discussions. I think again, it's just going back to this, right? That from the perspective of children, we bring in everything that we do, is how are they exercising their agency and control, and how you as an adult negotiate this. So acknowledging that perspective is this, what are they interested, observing that and supporting them, being close to them to support them. And again, all this is really important. I put this little example. This is from in my research when I was back home in Mexico, that the children were role-playing this airport play, and they didn't have anything. It was, I don't know how it is in Indonesia, but back home, children had recess time, and then everything was really structured with books. And so free play was very much at recess time, and the teacher, they didn't actually support the play that much. But I found, of course, as a researcher, doing my PhD, I found that the recess time was the most interesting part of the day. And, this is Miguel saying, this is not a pirate ship, this is an airplane. And then appear there, yes, let's go, and you can come with me. And no, you cannot come anymore, the plane is closed. Okay, goodbye, Monterey. And this country is of the bad one. So they're mixing kind of pirates and the airport there. Yes, goodbye, Monterey. We're going to blah, blah, blah. So obviously these children have an experience of what it means to be in the airport. The example is a bit longer, but they have these plastic kind of things to climb. And just because it's a bit in, I guess it's not on the floor, it's a bit in a higher position, they can imagine that, okay, I can see everyone and there are steps. So this becomes an airplane. So you can see all the things that that children are creating an imaginary situation. Some think that it's a pirate. This one is leading the play and is saying, well, actually it's an airplane and you're coming and we're going from to here and that. So children are imitating rules, and they're imitating roles, with an imaginary situation. The child looks at the world for rules, and rules are associated with a role. So he is role-playing being the pilot. He's not saying I'm the pilot, but he kind of is acting all the actions and the rules of, the airport goes at the front of the plane. So you can read all the actions and what he is saying. Obviously, this child has the experience of being on a plane, right? A lot of children don't have. So these are children that are obviously have had this experience. They also, you can see how the children in play develop higher forms of thinking. So negotiating with the peers, that's higher forms of thinking. Developing storylines, discussing roles in role playing. And again, play becomes more complex as the game, as the play becomes a game of rules that they have to follow. So again, you can see that if we begin to unpack these, they already created an imaginary situation that has roles, that has rules, that has dialogue, very complex. And again, specific to this setting, which is, this was a very kind of, I guess, not in a high socioeconomic area. So these were children that were in a private school, and they have these experiences of going on a plane and having a trip that other children might not have. Now, changing sense of meaning of the objects. So objects, children use objects to give new meaning and actions. So children are giving new the external material world, the real, and they're making sense with what is imaginary. So in this, you can see how this becomes they already giving it another idea, right? This is not for climbing. This actually, it's a plane or a pirate ship, but they already giving it, the objects are changing meaning for there. So objects, they're giving a new sense or meaning, and children imbue an object with new senses. So meaning and sense, they're quite similar, but what it means is that the sense, when we give meaning, we think about thinking. When we give an object a new sense, we have an emotional component to that object. And the child uses imagination based again on those everyday experiences. And you can see that in this example. Children and adults move in and out of an imaginary situation. So I mentioned this before, they are outside in the real world and inside in the pretend world. Children actively create collective meaning with play partners. So you can see here Miguel is trying to build meaning with Rebecca, who is the child that has here next to him. So they again, they create collective meaning. And if they have a good relationship with the children, and if they had more opportunities for play, these will be more complex. You can see right now here in the dialogue is not very complex. They're still building a storyline and working out the imaginary situation. And it actually, in this example, it took them the whole, I will say, 20 minutes to work out what it was. So because they don't have a lot of time, and that's what happens. So they don't have a lot of time to play. So imagine this could be the whole day, and the teacher extending and building new things, doing activities, like really basing this like a project. It will be more complex language. So meta-communicative language is a special language to frame play. So they go again in and out of frame. So this is their special language. Because meta-communicative means that they're thinking and they're communicating together in collaboration. And this is a very complex concept. Again, these concepts, I'm making them really simple for you, but you can look at this concept a bit more, and we can talk a bit more about them. There is collective imagining and individual imagining in play. So children use words and actions in their play that are collectively understood to make sense of it. So they have to use words that are making sense to them and to others. And you can see, goodbye means that we're going, right? Goodbye, Monterrey, goodbye. So they are using this word to collectively understand that the plane is closing, you cannot come in. So there is so much complexity. I think, remember who mentioned that if there are siblings playing or more children, definitely the complexity of participating is an imaginary situation. So as an educator, as an adult, you have to think about, how can I help children plan together? How can they, which moments am I going to participate? When am I going to be outside and inside? Am I going to be planning what is happening when they're freely playing? How do I extend their language? How do I bring other mathematical or science concepts? What about air in the plane? What happens? So being inside the imaginary situation also means are you being invited to it? Can you take a role? Can you be a co-player? And how can educators develop these more sophisticated play scripts, so more rich play scripts, not only like goodbye, let's go, come on, like that's very kind of short language, short sentences. How do you make it more sophisticated, bring more interesting words, bring more scientific words to children, so that then this can lead to conceptual thinking when they're in this imaginary situation. Okay, I'm getting to Joe's play pedagogy. Okay, with all these ideas that we have learned now, I'm going to show you this little video of Joe's play pedagogy for us to think about all the things that we have learned and all these roles in play. Now here, we use this concept of affective positioning during play, and these are toddlers. I think this is a bit of a mixed group. There are 3-year-olds here, 2.5, 3-year-olds in this example. And the educator is really focusing on reciprocal relationships. She's extending children's learning and play. She's creating motivated conditions. So motivating conditions is like bringing new resources to keep them motivated to play. She's using a lot of pedagogical questioning. She's asking a lot of questions. And she's also using explorative talk. Yes, to know what children are thinking. What will happen? What do you think? So she's using a lot of exploration as well. So an educator who can, and she's also affectively relating. So she's being warm, she's being interested, she's helping children. So she's really extending this play engagement to stimulate their learning. So we're going to see Joe, and I want you to make some notes about Joe is helping these 3 girls bathing their dolls, I think. So she's creating also an environment there. Sorry, I didn't see the chat. Okay, yes, thank you. How can we as adults enter and follow the imaginary situation? For me, imaginary situations are like playing theater, and this is not easy for parents. Yes, definitely. Well, I want you, for this person that made that comment, I want you to look at this video and think about how is the educator entering here to this situation. How we should react to children playing with their imaginary things and friends. Well, that's a really good comment. How do you do it? You have to also be playful with them. So you also have to imagine that that thing or that friend exists. Yes. Imaginary situation in play. I remember the time when my daughter was teaching her dolls. Yes, definitely. Okay, I'm going to show you now this video, and hopefully we're on time. This is just the last piece that I have. I know that we have time. I mean, we are limited with time, I guess. So are we still fine to show this video or not?
Yeah, I think it's okay. But Amy, can you post?
So thank you so much for looking at the video. So I'm now just wondering what you saw in the video that was interesting in terms of the adult role in these playing and bathing dolls. Anything that you were thinking about, just put it there in the chat. Is the adult, this is quite an interesting one because that I show my future teachers, students, Some of them say, oh, there's too much adult. There is there is too much of adult participating, or there is what is happening. What do you find interesting in this example in terms of the adult's role? So I wonder if you see the educator. Do you think if the educator wasn't there, would they get to do all this random play with babies? Or is the educator framing a bit more play?
Yeah, I think it's a frame bit more play.
Yes.
Yes,
definitely.
it's trying to let's say, what's that? Engage into the children's imaginary world about bathing a baby.
Well done. Yes.
Yes,
Well done.
role model.
So she's joining their imaginary
Yes.
imaginary situation of being with the babies, bathing the babies. Yeah, definitely. And that again, you need to leave your teacher's role to be here, right? Because you're a participant, but she's kind of like the mother, somehow taking that role. Maybe are you going to bring your baby brother? Maybe this child has a baby brother and is showing how to bath the baby. Someone was saying that so amazing how the teacher on Toddler Classroom shows how to take a bath the dolls, the baby dolls, and let the children have that image. Yes, and making it an activity. Yes, because it is kind of a play activity, right? It has degrees of freedom. There's rules, there are roles, there's the teacher there. So definitely from one thing, she's able to frame play. The adult gives the example first and then asks the children to yes. So she demonstrates and then she models. Yeah, the adult is a model, the teacher is a facilitator, definitely. It's really interesting, the adult engaged the students to the activity embodying the baby and ask the students what the baby needs. Yes, she's wanting to know what they are also thinking. And she's asking, so again, this is the explorative talk and the questioning, exploring what are children thinking. So you don't say what they are thinking, but you are asking them what they might be thinking. Showing them how to in a leisure way. Oh, okay. So leisure and pedagogy is quite interesting in a leisure way. Yeah, that's interesting word that you choose, Virgo, but it's very pedagogical because she's teaching them a lot of things, isn't it? Some verbal prompt from the educator, such as, should we wash the hair of the baby? Yes, definitely. There's a bit of prompt. So she's not saying, let's watch the baby. So see, your words, how you talk to children is really important. So this exploration, should we watch the hairs of the hair of the baby? Do you think you can would you like to do this? Yes. And she's also modeling, very Australian, to say, yes, please. Yes, please. So also this politeness as a value she's bringing. And this is a multicultural center. So she's very, in her pedagogy, you can read more about Jo in our book. Jo is very much aware of that, and she will say, yes, thank you. So she will also be modeling this language. The adult opened the imagination world, then the children enter it and extend their imagination collectively. Yes. So she saw these random children with babies, and they probably were interested, and then she created this bathing. And you can see in the environment, they had like a changing table, and there's a lot of things there with babies as well, right? The language used to communicate with children should be understood by children. Yes, and I think she's doing that as well. Yes, Noel, you can make a comment. Yes, at the same time, the children learning as a procedure as well as a way of how you communicate. Yes, because she's modeling language, so they might also use this language. Should we do this? Should we do that? So once you begin to do that, children do use it. I wonder what about the teacher role in assessing the students when they're playing? When should the teacher record the assessment during play? So, yeah, there is a balance, I think, because there is a balance on when you're playing with children and then when you're assessing what children are learning. And maybe this is a reflection that she might be able to take a photo of something and then she's reflecting about what is happening or putting it in a narrative. So she's assessing what children might be interested in. Learning some expressions, yes. That's a good imaginary play for children showing adults so children can develop their love and how to take care of their younger siblings in the future. Yes, definitely. Care is thought here. How do we care for your brother or your sister? Bringing that everyday, bringing family into it. This child might have a baby brother, so Joe brings this as well. Yes, childhood, when your daughter, the teacher gives an example first and then the child will try it directly to the doll. Yes, as well. And then I don't read Bahasa Indonesian. Bapa kubu boleh ko tanya
No.
pakai.
Gloria, I just invite if the audience wants to ask question, if they, if they don't want, if, because
I'm being playful in
still
English.
using Indonesian in the chat. And then,
yes, thank you so much. Wonderful comments. I think you were all paying, and you can see definitely these. Thank you, Indri, that she's very affective, she's very caring, she's warm. Apart from modeling, questioning, exploring, she keeps that warmness with children. So I'm just ending now. So Jo enters the imaginary situation. She's able to meet the toddler's interests and address. She has an agenda as a teacher as well, what she wants to teach. So she has in her mind some plan. She's batting the language. She's a play partner, but also she's in a pedagogical role as an educator, as a non-player. So she has always like this double role, teaching the toddlers how to bat the doll and name the different. She also names the different parts of the body of the doll. I think you didn't see that, but she's doing that as well. The educator was inside, outside the play at the same time, so engaged in kind of these two positions simultaneously. The educator, like saying, for example, oh, do we need more water? Like she's out of it. And then comes again and batting the children. So she's taking different positions. The educator is active and effective co-player, entering this imaginary situation or creating it, like some people were saying. And there are a lot of pedagogical strategies as well with the questioning, with the exploration. And again, she's helping them transition from wandering around to playing at the bat area, because they are kind of wandering, but then she's kind of focusing them as a play partner. Now, if she didn't come, they probably wouldn't be doing this, right? So you as the educator, you frame play. There are effective interactions, there's guiding. She's using a lot of gestures, playful actions, dramatic voice as well. Oh, should we do this? So your voice is really important, being dramatic. She's a conversational partner, close questions to explain. She actually explains the body parts. I don't think we see it here, but she does. And she has this conversational exchange with them. So I'm just now getting to the end. It is really important as your adult role in play to think about your relationships with children. How do you challenge children? How do you integrate contradictory perspectives on play and learning? taken by the child and the adult. So really balancing this, I think, the child and the adult role. We offer opportunities to build insight into thinking about play as pedagogical, and it's also a leading activity for children because it brings new processes and changes to their development. So these are some of the references that I use, and thank you so much for having me. I think I can talk much more about this, but this is the end. So thank you so much, and I'll open it up for some reflection, comments, and questions. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Gloria, thank you very much for the presentation and also the discussion as well. Before we go on to the question and answer session, Mbak Emi, I mean the host wants to show the audience an video related to our organization. Will it be okay?
Yes.
Okay, ya, Mbak Emi, bisa Mbak, Bapak Ibu, sebelum kita ngobrol lagi dengan Gloria, we start a more discussion, deeper discussion with Gloria. Let's see one of APWI's video. Ya, silakan Mbak Emi.
That is a beautiful video. Thank you.
Yes, I mean, it's because we really, I mean, we want to convey our gratitude because having you here is really a very honor to have you here, and we learn a lot, especially about the early childhood education. Okay, so we can start the question and answer. Maswit, should we have the audience asking the question directly or?
That's okay, directly in bahasa or in English?
Ya, ya Bapak Ibu juga bisa bertanya dalam bahasa Indonesia, nggak apa-apa kok if you want to. Ya, silakan, you may raise hand or you also can type your question in the chat box. But if you want to ask the question directly, you're welcome. Silakan Bapak Ibu.
I think you all have been really interactive. So thank you so much for all the comments. I feel like I should keep the chat.
Ya, silakan Bapak Ibu. Ada yang mau bertanya? Oke, si Pak Yusuf, Pak Suarles. Pak Suarles.
Oh yeah.
Pak Suarles, you still
sorry.
in the US right now?
Oh yeah, I'm still here.
Ya, Bapak. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Bapak.
sorry, I have lots of questions. Yeah, even though I'm teaching vocational high school, but this is a really, really good topic to talk about and discuss with. And my question is, sometimes I think that like in developed country like the US and from the video that we've seen together, don't you think that is it very early to to teach children like how to bathe a baby, or because I'm thinking like what happened if they do something at home?
Oh, okay. Well, remember that this is so again, we have to imagine, right? This is about an imaginary situation. So it's in play, children they're able to meet their desires, right? I know that I cannot bath a baby in real life, but in play, I'm making sense of what it's going to be to bath a baby.
Okay,
I might not be able to
Actually,
change a nappy, but it's so abstract, right? Just the idea for a 3-year-old to bath a baby. You have to imagine it. It's like me. I cannot imagine to be a doctor, but I love watching series about doctors and thinking about what would that be. So it's about what can it be, the becoming. So it's almost very, you know, it's imagination, right? Imagination is able to open that for you, and that's what children are doing. So yeah, of course, it might be really early for in real life to bath the baby, but they might be helping a bit, right? I may be the mother in real life bathing the baby, and the child can help me. I know that my child at 10 years old cannot cook a meal, but I can say, you know, they might want to imagine, you know, want to cut something and do things, right? So as an adult, we're able to assess that. But remember that in imagination, we can do the impossible in play, because we're making sense of things. And the adult is there to support it. Of course, in real life, we cannot leave a little child bathing a baby, but the adult is there to support them. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
So imagination, that's why it's so interesting to think about how imagination is all about, you know, imagination is so complex for children, and they draw upon everyday experiences. Imagination is bringing those everyday experiences. Play is imagination in action.
Yes. Okay. Thank
Yes.
you, Gloria.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yes.
Something for you to think a bit more, Charles. How do you use imagination for, you know, I can tell you a comment. I teach this improvisational strategy, and some of my students will be here. I teach my students this improvisational strategy of mirror me. And I do this with Asian students. I have a lot of Asian students from Indonesia, from Malaysia, from Singapore, from China. And this mirror me is, I do a cat because I have a cat recently. So I become a cat. So I show them, okay, you have to mirror what I'm doing. And I do this. And I pretend to be a cat. And they feel like, oh, this is so embarrassing, right? Like, why do we need to do this? And they do the same. They are like looking at each other and they mirroring. And I say, okay, next, someone next. And then they begin to do exercises. And then we mirror the exercises. And that activity, it went all about, we were doing exercises. And I said to them, you fail this activity in a playful way. And they were like, oh, because obviously coming from a Mexican or an Asian culture, fail is like, no, it's so bad. But I used that word and I said, the idea is for you not to do exercises. It's for you to become a character or a thing. And I think I even explained that. And they didn't feel comfortable. And I was teaching them for 12 weeks. But that made them think about, well, with children, you have to become the impossible for them. You become a thing. You become a cat. And I do these myself because obviously I teach a lot of these play. I imitate, like I see a friend of my daughter and they're doing like something like that, even when they were children, and I do the same. There was a child that was crying the other day, a toddler, and I was doing the same. And the toddler suddenly realized how they look. I was mirroring, but I use this strategy unconsciously now. And they stop crying. So again, it's about being playful. It's having the attitude as an adult of being playful. But sometimes we're too serious. So again, imagination is about being playful. Yeah. Diane, you have a comment?
Yeah, thank you. I have actually one question to you. It is interesting when you said that we understand the importance of play and how it affects have big benefit for children, but we need to advocate this to parents, to teachers, and regarding this sentence, it triggers me that when we talk about how we advocate that children learns to play, people tends to separate the benefit of play with when we talk about in early childhood education, many parents demands that their children can learn some academic skills. So when they see the children play in early childhood, they see that they're not learning anything. So this is what we want to advocate for years, and also both for parents and also the teachers. And could you explain how play, when we stimulate play to early childhood at young children, how this is related to their development in the future that can help them to thrive in next education. So it will become, it can convince more people about the importance of play in early childhood education. I think that's my question.
Yes, thank you so much, Diane, for your comment, because I think someone said classic. It's like a universal issue in countries like Mexico or Indonesia, because I always say to my students, we have to be competitive, right? There are a lot of Mexicans and a lot of Indonesian people. I'm just making a comment. So we become kind of learning, academic, competitive, you know, you have to do all this, while in Australia, for example, it's play-based learning, right? So it is play-based learning, and there's a benefit. So Western communities are different, right? They're not, it is different, right? Because it has been researched, there's evidence, what I'm telling you, even with my research, and we're still not convinced, right? So we really have to advocate that play is imagination in action, and imagination and play shouldn't develop higher level abstract thinking. So we have to read, we have to inform ourselves, and we have to communicate these to parents. This is why we're letting children play, and we're supporting play, and we're bringing concepts. But we have to become better at doing that. And I think that's the challenge as well. Here in Australia, the issue now is that there's so much free play that where is the adult role, right? Like, what is the adult doing here? So in my research, I examine what is the adult doing in play, for example, and how is this impacting children's learning and development. So definitely, it is a universal problem, issue, challenge, but I think is you as a teacher coming today and informing yourself that this is important because of all the reasons that I gave you, Diane.
Thank you so much, Gloria.
I think we are all convinced, but I think with the questions that we're asking is really understanding that, again, that real and that pretend world, that children, it's so easy for children to imagine, and that's their world, that when I tell you to become a cat and imagine what it means to be a cat, it's so difficult. But if I tell children, we're going to become cats, and they will love it, they will do it, because they just switch really quick. But for us as adults, it takes a bit of more of an effort. So we have to practice it all the time. So have a pet. So you observe the pet and then you learn. I'm joking. But thank you so much for your questions and comments. It has been quite, I hope this is food for thought for you to think more about your roles as your adult role in play.
Yeah, Gloria, we have Nur here. Bu Nur.
Yes, thank you very much. Can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Nur from Aliaklu Malang. I just try to share the same, what is it, almost the same thing. I think imaginary situation can give and build, what is it, a positive for the students. For example, it build good communication, build students trustship with the teacher, because the teacher try to respect and then try to enter their own word. And then of course the children have a very high self-confidence, because they are listened. And then in my
Yes.
own experience, when at that time my students try to, what is it, to act as she was a mother, and then she had 3 babies, and then she asked me to help her at the second phase. And I think it is very wonderful experience, because yes, I do agree with Mrs. Gloria, because thank you very much for sharing the knowledge, and then it make me what is it, have more positive about how to appreciate and build communication between students and children, and also the teacher. Thank you, Mrs. Gloria.
You're welcome, and that's wonderful that you're playing with children, because that's, you're a co-player. That's what I want teachers to play with children.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Gloria. Gloria, just now I remember that parents, they love buying toys for their children, but unfortunately not all, but maybe sometime we forget what we're gonna do with the toys, so we only buy the toys for them, but sometimes we forget to join their imaginary world that we want by buying the toys, for example the dolls, and then like what's that, Lego, and then any other thing. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's become my concern now.
Well, the thing is that having open materials, like just blocks, right, is, having blocks is so rich, because they are creating different things, and they, play, it becomes you play in a little world, but then you play in a real world, and it starts like that, right, giving meaning to objects and playing with them, and then we take roles. So open I always ask my students to we create play spaces, and they bring different materials. And I remember one student just bringing a empty cartoon box, and then we just with open-ended materials, they do more. They have to think more about what to do than with things that are just very literal, right? So again, yes, the resources that you have available are really important. So it will be very different to buy like a kitchen, that already is there, rather than them making the kitchen out of open-ended materials, right? Because then they can design and create. So again, that's something to think more about, definitely. But I do teach that to my students, and I see that as well here in playgrounds in Australia, that there's more open-ended materials as well. Rusnawati. Thank you for your comment. Do you have a comment or a question?
Yes. Okay. I just want to share. I want to share, and I want give an opinion about how playing and learning in early childhood is engaged. I have I have son who is 5 years old, and then his daddy is sick. So he doesn't want to go to school because he wants to take care of her daddy. I say him, you have to go to school. It's almost 1 month you don't go to school. You have to go to primary next year. So you have to go. I don't want to go to school, Mom. I want to stay here with my dad. I want to take care of him. I want to be with you to take care of my daddy. So I don't know what I have to do to her, to him. So one day I tell to him, because he loves toy cars so much. So I asked him to, if you go to school, I will buy you a car. Really? He say, okay, I will go to school, but I don't want to ride. Oh, the problem. So I caught the problem. He doesn't want to go to school because he doesn't want to write the number, to write the alphabet, and so on. And then every day when he go to school, I buy him a car. So he go to school and take him home. And one day I look at him, and he has many toys. He has many toys car, about 20 toy car, little toy car. And he count. He placed the cars one by one on the floor. And he count 1, 2, 3, 4 until 20. So he told me, Mommy, I have 20 toy cars. So I look at him and say, how by play, he learned, not by pushed, not by asked, but he learned by himself, tanpa disuruh, tanpa diminta, tanpa dipaksa, to do the learning. He, for example, he learned the numbers. And then I got the new paradigm that for early childhood, that playing is a way to come in the learning itself. And then it's different with the opinion of many parents, in especially in my place, that learning is learning, play is playing. So I think from micro credential I follow 2 weeks ago, and from this meeting this afternoon, I got many wawasan, yeah, that early childhood is amazing. I can teach my children and also my students with the new paradigm of teaching by early childhood. That's playing is the way to come in learning. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you, Bu.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience, because that's it, right? It's playful and it's not imposing, and it's about what the child is interested and how you're building on the interest of counting. Look, eventually children will learn how to count, right? Like, why push them? And again, that's something for us to think more about, how you in play bring those concepts and those ideas as well. So yeah, no, I think that's, you ended quite beautifully with that example from your son. And I think if you say that children, that your son will meet new friends and play and make it attractive, that will be important, how your child transitions also with you in a playful way. So yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Bu Risnawati. Gloria, thank you very much. I know maybe some of the participants still wants to discuss, to ask question, but I know that the time not enough. So, but again, thank you very much, Gloria, for
thank you so much for
really very
inviting
honored
me.
having you in this such a very interesting discussion. And I learned a lot from this discussion, especially because for the early childhood education right now in Indonesia, we come up with the tagline Merdeka Bermain, right, Mbak Ririn? Yes. So it's really a very important.
And you have this in your curriculum, right? Imagine.
Yes, that's why.
Right.
Yes, that's about the Merdeka Bermain.
Yes.
I learned a lot from Mbak Ririn as well.
We had it for so long, Gloria, as you know, but yeah, maybe we need to revisit and strengthen the effort. Yeah.
You're making an impact already, you know, with your talk shows and really bringing that awareness of play and and imagination.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Before I give it back the time for the MC Mbak Ninin, so Amy, the committee wants to again show off the video about our organization and again to express our gratitude to you, Gloria.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, but Amy, okay, please. And after that, we give a time for Mbak Ninin to close this meeting. Yeah. Silakan Mbak Ninin.
Okay, very interesting talk and topic. So we would like to again, muchas gracias, thank you very much. Terima kasih banyak. It's in Indonesian to Gloria. So about the interesting topic in adults' roles in play-based learning. So also thank you to Bu Indrit as a host, and it's also learning a lot from the topic early childhood education and how importance of playing in child's learning development. So we would like to close the talk show series 2 today, and we also like to invite all of you to the next programs conducted by APWI, so Association Teacher Educators, Ministry of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology, for the upcoming programs. So thank you very much for your participation. Terima kasih Bu dan Bapak atas partisipasinya pada acara talk show kali ini, dan sampai jumpa and see you in the next talk show or other programs, a webinar held by APWI, Kemdikbudristek, or APWI, Ministry of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.